this is a video to show how to do an oil change on a 2015 Kawasaki Vulcan 1700 Vaquero. So, to start, we will have to get out our required equipment. And then from there we will start our removal of the oil. The manual says to warm up the engine and then to drain it while the bike is perpendicular. Okay, so we're going to have to remove the bolts and then let the oil drain into the pan. So I'll show you which bolts to remove, and then all you gotta do is move your drain pan underneath. Okay, and as you can see, it is draining from both bolts. Just make sure that the pan you're draining into can hold basically at least 5 quarts of oil, otherwise you'll run out of room. This one is a 7 quart, so it's not quite full yet, and obviously you can see that it's not just about done here. So next we will go on to removing the oil filter. So I will show you where that is located. So if you're not familiar with an oil filter wrench, basically all you gotta do is slide it over the end of the oil filter, and then when you turn it this way, it will tighten around. You can see how that gets smaller as you tighten it. So it just makes a circle around that, and then you can grab it. So we will do that around the stock oil filter next. Okay, so after you use your oil wrench to kind of loosen this up here, then you can just slide that off, and you should be able to hand loosen the rest. You're going to want to make sure that your oil is done draining from back here first, so you don't get it all over the floor. Alright, then I will hand loosen that out and let the bit of oil that is in the oil filter area drain into the pan as well. Okay, so the next thing is, once you get your oil filter out, to make sure that the gasket is still attached to the oil filter itself. You're gonna want to make sure that it's on here, or take it off the motorcycle before you put the new one on, otherwise you won't get a good seal. The nice thing about this K and N filter is that you can see on the top it has a 17mm bolt, so you can use your socket wrench to get it onto the motorcycle instead of having to use the oil filter wrench, which is nice for this because it doesn't have one, but it's a pain in the ass, whereas obviously using a socket wrench is going to be much more easy. So also for you that are wondering, I'm going to be using the K&N 303. This is the stock part 16097-0008 was the Kawasaki filter. Next, you're going to want to apply a thin amount of oil to the gasket here. In the instruction manual they call it the packing, and the type of oil you want to use is 10W40. It's up to you if you want to use blended, regular, or synthetic. I'm choosing to use synthetic, and once you get that on the oil filter, then you can install that on the motorcycle. Okay, after you get the 2 bolts back into the bottom of the motorcycle for where you drained the oil earlier, then you can add your oil, since you have everything back in place down there. So here's where the oil dipstick is. So you just gotta unscrew this, come right out, and then you just fill that up. The manual says 4.3 quarts, or liters rather, sorry. Okay, last thing of note is that when you're filling it up with an oil filter change, the manual says 4.5 quarts, which works out nice if you buy a 5-quart thing of oil. But just so you know, when you're filling it up, you're gonna have to start the engine up in order to get it worked into the oil filter to be able to get the rest in there. So with probably about another half quart left that I had to put in, I could actually see the oil level at the top here. You can see I spilled just a little bit because I was doing it by hand. I wasn't using a funnel. But so just keep an eye out for that. With a little over a half quart left of what you need to put in, you might have to turn the engine on real quick just to get oil in the oil filter so you can get the rest in there. And after you get the oil in there, then that's all you have to do. You're ready to go after that point. If you have any questions about part numbers or anything like that, I'll put them in the description of the video, and along with the tools that you need, the sizes and whatnot. So feel free to like and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.